The Jets have been a complete disaster for years, but for the first time in a while, there's reason for optimism, and it lies in the hands of Zach Wilson. New York's second-year quarterback improved a lot over the end of 2022, and now he may be poised for a breakout season. It's no secret that the Jets get a lot of shit, and it's well-deserved, honestly. They're dysfunctional as hell, and they've hired the wrong coach one too many times. Like, seriously, why the hell would anybody hire Adam Gase after you saw what he did in Miami? But that's besides the point. Credit where it's due though, the Jets have done an absolutely incredible job at putting talent around Zach Wilson, and I think he has a serious chance to succeed in a big way in 2022. Something I would have never thought I'd be saying 2 seasons ago while watching the extremely depressing 2-14 Jets. But much like LeBron James's hairline, it turned around. The Jets had the second overall selection at the 2021 NFL Draft after the Jaguars took the expected first, Trevor Lawrence. Then New York got their option of the 4 other quarterbacks that ended up getting selected in the first round: Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, and of course, Zach Wilson. He was named the starter ahead of the season, and to start week 1 against Sam Darnold, who was literally traded to the Panthers that same offseason. The Jets lost, which became a reoccurring trend last year, but Wilson didn't play too bad though. He threw an interception, but did rebound to throw 2 touchdowns and pass for over 250 yards. The next week, well, it didn't go as well. Against the Patriots, we all know, for whatever reason, Bill Belichick always crushes the souls of rookie quarterbacks, and that resulted in Wilson throwing 4 picks, 2 of which came on his first 2 passes of the game. Wilson followed up his stellar performance with 2 interceptions and a 26-0 loss to the Broncos. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that it wasn't too peachy for the Jets in 2021. That being said, Wilson got his first career win in week 4 against the Titans. He threw a pick, but it came with 2 touchdowns, including a 53-yard touchdown to Corey Davis that gave the Jets the lead in the 4th quarter. Eventually, New York won in overtime. The next week, Wilson threw another interception to become the 4th quarterback in NFL history to get picked off in his first 5 starts, joining Deshaun Kaiser, Zach Mettenberger, and Blake Bortles. Now, I wouldn't exactly call that elite company. It was no doubt a bad start, but Wilson's rookie season was a tale of 2 halves. In week 2 against the Patriots, Wilson suffered a sprained PCL that he continued to play through until it was announced in week 7 that he had to miss 4 games in order to recover. He returned and he was a lot better. He won his first road game in week 12 against the Texans. While the Jets still sucked ass and lost 4 of their last 5 games, it didn't matter because Wilson improved. Over that 5-game span, Wilson didn't throw a single interception. For the year, Wilson went 3-10, passed for 2,334 yards and 9 touchdowns to 11 interceptions, while completing 55.6% of his passes. On the ground, Wilson rushed for 185 yards and 4 touchdowns, fumbling 5 times. 2021 was a stepping stone season for Wilson, but not just for him. For Robert Saleh too. He got hired to his first head coaching gig in 2021 after years of being the 49ers defensive coordinator. Saleh is obviously a defensive mind, so his offensive coordinator becomes even more important for Wilson's development, and that's Mike LaFleur. Sound familiar? Well, that's Matt LaFleur's brother, you know, the head coach of the Packers. Mike LaFleur was also in San Francisco and came with Saleh to the Big Apple, and now it's time to see if he can help Wilson turn into what the Jets had hoped he could be coming out of BYU. What separates Zach Wilson's situation from the other 2021 quarterbacks is the Jets have actually built around him, even starting last offseason. After taking Wilson in the first round, New York selected Elijah Moore in the second. When he wasn't getting unsportsmanlike conduct penalties for pretending to piss like a dog in the end zone and costing Ole Miss a bowl game, Moore was pretty good. He led the Rebels receiving corps as a sophomore with 850 yards and 6 touchdowns. Moore was expected to be one of the top receivers in the country in 2020, and after a school record 86 receptions for 1,193 yards and 8 touchdowns, he was a consensus All-American and declared for the draft. As a rookie, Moore entered the season as a starter and recorded 538 yards and 5 touchdowns, but his year ended prematurely after he suffered a quad injury. Now, Moore is set up for a breakout season. But he wasn't the only wideout the Jets brought in last offseason. Corey Davis was once a star wideout at Western Michigan, breaking the NCAA record for career receiving yards. It was good enough to convince the Titans to select him 5th at the 2017 NFL Draft, but he struggled to start in Tennessee. His second season in the pros, he showed flashes, recording over 800 yards for the first time, and in 2020, he had nearly 1,000 yards. In 4 years in Tennessee, he had some good moments, but ultimately, he never lived up to the expectations of being a top 5 selection. The Jets gave him a 3-year, $37.5 million deal last offseason, and like Moore, he ended the season on injured reserve due to core muscle surgery. That all being said, he was nearly on pace for a 1,000-yard season before the injury, and still finished the year with 492 yards and 4 touchdowns. Clearly, the Jets have made it a priority to surround Wilson with talent, but they weren't done there either. At the 2022 NFL Draft, New York used its first rounder, 10th overall, on Garrett Wilson. A lot can be said about Wilson in college, but the biggest is that he was able to stand out among elite talent at Ohio State. He managed to play in every game as a freshman, and then ahead of 2020, the Buckeyes moved him to slot, where I'd expect him to play in the pros. He had over 700 yards, was first team All Big Ten, and followed it up with over 1,000 yards as a junior. Wilson was named second team All Big Ten and made the decision to forego his remaining eligibility. In general, I'm just excited for this receiving core. I think Elijah Moore can seriously break out this season. Corey Davis is also reliable, and who doesn't love watching a rookie wideout find his ropes in the league? But even then, the Jets have more talent to be excited about, like tight end CJ Uzomah. He was a 5th-round pick in 2015 and turned into a reliable starter for the Bengals and played a big role in their Super Bowl run last season, putting together a career year with 493 yards and 5 touchdowns. If you looked at the name on the Jets offensive line, you probably wouldn't expect much, but the reality is, they were pretty solid in 2021, and that came without Mekhi Becton for most of the year. I think New York deserves a lot more credit for overhauling that line. The Jets signed center Connor McGovern and tackle George Fant, and of course, drafted Elijah Vera Tucker in the first round a year ago. And personally, I don't think anyone is going to benefit more from those decisions than Breece Hall in 2022. If you love college football, you know exactly who I'm talking about, and holy hell was he fun to watch at Iowa State, and that's exactly why the Jets took him in the second round. His last 2 collegiate seasons, Breece rushed for over 3,000 yards and had almost 500 receiving yards to go with 46 touchdowns. Not only was he back-to-back Big 12 Offensive Player of the Year, but Breece was an All-American both seasons too. Plus, I want to bring up Michael Carter at least briefly, because he'll likely be the 2-back this season. He was a 4th-round pick in 2021, and he was so much fun to watch at UNC. Carter was a part of a 2-headed backfield alongside Javonte Williams, who I think will tear it up in Denver this season with Melvin Gordon. Despite a high ankle sprain that derailed his rookie campaign, Carter rushed for over 600 yards and had over 300 receiving yards, as well as adding 4 touchdowns. Again, and this is gonna sound crazy because it still does to me, but there's actually reasons to be excited about the Jets next year. No, I don't think there's a scenario where the Jets could come out and win the AFC East, especially with how competitive it's gotten in this past offseason. But for the first time in what seems like forever, the Jets are heading in the right direction. And if Zach Wilson can put it all together in 2022, watch out.